Hello and welcome to eTutorTT's YouTube channel. Today we're gonna have a video on the Spanish ser versus ESTAR because I know that it's a very confusing concept for English speakers since in English we only have one verb which is to be, whereas in Spanish they have ser and estar. So for English speakers it's very difficult to know when to use them, how to use them, and also how using them interchangeably would change the meaning of the sentence. So today we're just going to look at that as well as their conjugation. First, you can look at the conjugation of ser as well as its uses. So ser is conjugated as yo soy, tú eres, él, ella, usted es, nosotros somos, ellos, ellas, ustedes son. And this is just something that you would need to remember, and it's also one of those irregular verbs, right? Because it doesn't follow the usual ER endings, which would be O, es, hemos, en. It's soy, eres, es, somos, son. So it's irregular because of that. So when to use ser? You usually use ser for things when they are unlikely to change. So for example, descriptions, occupations, relationships, possession, and time. And now I'll just, explain each one a little bit more in depth. So for descriptions, for physical descriptions, you would use ser because, with physical descriptions, they are very unlikely to change. It'll be like that either permanently or for a very long time. So la mesa es verde, the table is green. Yes, you could change the color of the table, but let's assume that the original color of the table is green. You can't change the original color. I mean, yes, you could always repaint it, but that wouldn't be changing the original color. It would just be putting another color on top of the original color. You could never change the fact that the table was originally green. And AI is alta. She is tall. For people, you can't really change their physical characteristics. So if someone is tall, she can't just become short by the next day. It's not something that's going to change either now or for a very, very long time. Character traits. So, él es tímido. He is shy. It's part of his personality. You don't really change your personality on a day-to-day basis, right? It would be something that you would adopt for a very long time, for a few years maybe. And yes, you can break out of being shy, but it's something that you would be for a long time. AI is simpática. She's nice or pleasant. It's just part of her personality. It's a personality trait, character trait. If you're just describing someone's personality, you would use ser because it's part of who they are. Nationality and place of origin. You can't change where you're from. Once you're born somewhere, that's it. You can't change it at all. So soy de Trinidad. I'm from Trinidad. And Paola is de Colombia. Paola is from Colombia. Right? You can't change where you're from, so it would be safe. Jobs or careers. Ella es profesora. With career is something that you wouldn't change right away. And also notice that when you're using occupations, you don't say ella es una profesora. The way we have she is a teacher in English. You just say she is teacher. That would be like literal translation. But they understand it as she is a teacher. So you don't need to have una or un in that spot. Same with eres abogado, it wouldn't be likely to change, so you would use ser and there is no un before abogado. Your relationship to someone. So ella es mi madre and somos hermanos. You can't change your family members' relationship with them. Even if you're on bad terms with them, you could never stop being the son of your mom, or you can't stop being siblings with someone. You will always have that relationship, right? So that's why they would use ser because it's not something that would change. Possession now. Es el libro de Mario. It is Mario's book. It's the same thing as relationship, like that's your relationship to someone, this is your relationship to something. Or that's that thing's relationship to you. So the relationship of the book to Mario is that it belongs to Mario. And that's why you would use ser in this case because it is his belongings. It belongs to him. He is the possessor of this. So that's why you would use it. Son las calcetines de Juanita. They are Juanita's socks. It belongs to Juanita, so you would use ser. Time. Son las cinco. It's 5 o'clock. Yeah, I know a lot of people think that with time you might use ESTAR because of the fact that time changes very quickly. But it's just a general rule that you would use ser when speaking about time. Well, es viernes, it is Friday. Mi cumpleaños es el 14 de diciembre. Well, this one is a little bit more obvious because you could never change the day of your birth. It will always be 14th of December in this case here with this example. So that's why I use ser. Noche de Brujas is in October. Halloween is in October. You can't really change date of Halloween. So it will always be in October. That's why I would use it with time because you can't really change time in a way. Yes, time changes, but they still use ser, and it's just a rule that you need to remember. Okay, so a star now, and it's also an irregular verb, and its conjugation is yo estoy, tú estás, él, ella, usted está, nosotros estamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes están. Okay, so let's use a star. When I was in secondary school, I used to like to think about them in terms of like the length of the word. So ser, S-E-R, that's 3 letters. So you use the shorter word for concepts that were either long term or permanent. Whereas a star being the longer word, 5 letters, you would use it for short term things or things that were very temporary. And that's how I remember it. So the longer word for short term things, shorter word for long term things. So you would use a star with temporary states, location, and you would also use it for present continuous or progressive. And that's basically actions happening in a moment. So the equivalent to this in English would be ing, which is ing. So you would say like, so for example, I am running, she is running, I am eating, they are sitting, all of that, those are present continuous or present progressive. And a way to form this in Spanish is by conjugating a star in the present tense as well as adding a gerund. And a gerund is basically the verb. So let's take comer because that's in the example. And we're going to remove the er infinitive ending and add endo because endo is added to er and ir verbs, whereas ando is added to ar verbs. So for example, let's say I am speaking, you would say estoy hablando. So you conjugated a star in the present tense to make it estoy. And now you're gonna say hablando because you're removing the AR and you're adding ando to habla. So it's going to become hablando. And that's how you would form the present continuous or progressive tense in Spanish. So temporary states would be like mood or illness. So your mood would be temporary because you can change moods, you can change emotions within a second sometimes. So están felices, they are happy. They wouldn't be happy forever because sometimes they'll become sad, they could become angry, become anxious, anything. So that's why you would use estoy because it's not permanent. Their happiness is not permanent. It's just a temporary mood that they're feeling. Estoy aburrida. I am bored. And well, if you're a male, you would say estoy aburrido. Right? But I'm saying estoy aburrida because I am female. Illness. And the reason that you use ser for illness is because you're not always ill. Because you would eventually get better, or maybe you were better, or you were well before you were ill. So you would say estoy enferma, or if you are male, you would say estoy enfermo. So for position or location as well. And the reason for this one is because you could always change the position or the location of something. So el libro está en la mesa, the book is on the table. It wouldn't always be on the table. You could always remove it. You could put it somewhere else. And estás in Trinidad, you are in Trinidad. You could always leave the country, you could travel away. You don't have to stay in Trinidad all the time, right? This is just your temporary position. And even if you never travel out of the country or you never plan to, you would still use ESTAR because even if you don't plan to do something, doesn't mean you can't do it. Okay, so there are times when you could use zero ESTAR in the same sentence, but it would completely change the meaning of the sentence. So let's look at the first example here. Soy aburrido o aburrida, which means I am a boring person, right? Because remember when you use ser, you're speaking about character traits or personality traits. So if you're going to say soy aburrida, you will be saying that you are a boring person, that being boring is part of your personality. But if you say estoy aburrida or aburrido, it would mean that you are bored temporarily. Like you're just any moment you're bored. But with soy, it would mean that it's a long-term thing, it's part of your personality. Feliz, soy feliz, I am a happy person. It means that the person is always happy, it's just part of their personality to be happy. Because you know that there are those people who are naturally cheery and lively and happy. There are people like that. Not everyone is like that, but there are people like that. And now when you use feliz with estoy, so you say estoy feliz, it would mean that I am happy but in the moment, right? You're not a happy, not necessarily a happy person, you're not always happy, but you're just happy in the moment. It's part of your mood to be happy. So maybe like you went to the beach or something after a long time of not going, so you were happy in the moment. Or maybe you were hanging out with some friends and you were happy in that moment, so you would say estoy feliz to refer to that. This one is a tricky one because it messes up a lot of people. Muerto meaning dead, right? So you would never ever use ser when you're referring to being dead. And the reason for that is you weren't always dead. I mean, yes, you will be dead forever after you die, right? But you were not always dead. You were alive at some point, right? Because you lived your life. So that's why you would say está muerto, meaning he, she, or it is dead. And I know this one mixed up a lot of people because we tend to assume that, well, if you're dead, then you're always going to be dead. So you said, but they use a star because you lived your life and you weren't always dead, although you will always be dead in the future. But in the past, you weren't. So that's why it would be a star. Bueno or buena. So es bueno or es buena, it means that he or she is a good person, it's part of their personality. But estar now, está bueno or está buena means he or she is a good looking person. Because it's just a temporary state since you won't always look good. Right? There will be times when you're not all that good looking. Maybe later in life, maybe it's present, it doesn't matter when it is. But when you say está bueno, está buena, you're just going to be saying that that person is good looking and that that person has a good personality. Okay, so let's do some practice. Now, obviously you could pause the video, you could always rewind, go back and review certain parts of it. So let's do some exercises now just to see if you understand what you just listened and looked at. So choose the correct form of the verb. Would you say tú eres en la cocina or tú estás en la cocina? And well, of course, after every question, you could pause and think about your answer. You could pause and you could go back. Anything? Well, we will see the answers on the next page, right? For number 2, would you say yo soy un chico inteligente or yo estoy un chico inteligente? Remember, the first one is referring to your location. So you need to remember which verb is used when you're speaking about location. The second one, you're referring to someone's personality traits. So you need to remember which verb is used when speaking about personality traits. Nelson Mandela es muerto or Nelson Mandela está muerto. You need to remember there's a specific one used for that. What would that be? Now, number 4. Nosotros somos hermanos or nosotros estamos hermanos. And this would be when you're speaking about your relationship to someone. Which verb is used when speaking about your relationship to someone? 5. Son las siete or están las siete. Which one is used for time? You need to remember there's a specific one used for time. Even if the other one might seem like it would be used, it's not. It would be the other one. So which one is it? So you can pause the video now and try and figure out your answers. So you're going to go on to the answers in the next page. Okay, so let's look at the answers now to the first exercise. First one, tú estás en la cocina. That's because with location, you use estar since your location is able to change. Number 2, you would say, yo soy un chico inteligente because with personality traits, you use soy or ser since that is a long-term thing. Or it's part of your personality and it's not likely to change. Nelson Mandela está muerto. And that's because with muerto, with death, you use está. Number 4, nosotros somos hermanos. With relationships, you use somos. Number 5, son las siete because with time, it's just a general rule to use ser when you're speaking about time. Okay, let's move on to the next exercise now. Now, choose the correct form of the verb and insert it in these blanks. So, yo blank en el edificio. Which one would you use to indicate your location in the building? Tú blank médica. Which verb would you use to indicate your profession or your career or your job or your occupation? El libro blank pesado. This means the book is heavy, right? Because you know you're going to be using ser or estar, and those basically mean is. So, which one would you say to speak about the physical characteristic of this book? Because being heavy, which would be weight, is a physical characteristic of something. Which one would you use to show the physical characteristic or description of something? Number 4, nosotros something tristes. Which one would you use to show temporary mood? Number 5, ellos blank enfermos. Which one would you use to show illness, which is a temporary state? Okay, let's look at the corrections now. Yo estoy en el edificio and use estar because your location is temporary. You could always change your location. Number 2, tú eres médica, right? You are a doctor. And remember, with professions, occupations, jobs, careers, you always use ser. That it's a long-term thing. Number 3, el libro es pesado, meaning the book is heavy. It's a physical description of the book, so you would use ser. Number 4, nosotros estamos tristes. We are sad. It's a temporary mood. And with temporary moods, we tend to use estar since it is temporary and it is likely to change on a short-term basis because you will not be sad forever if it is just your mood. Ellos están enfermos. With illnesses, you use estar since it is not likely that you will be ill forever. Okay, you're sick now, but you will be fine after. So that's why you would use it. Well, that was it for our Spanish class on ser versus estar. If you enjoyed this video and you want to join one of the Spanish classes, you could either call this call or message this WhatsApp number 7995095. You can find eTutorTT on Facebook and on Instagram. Well, and also if you are doing your exams this year, good luck in the exams. You will be fine. Thanks for watching. Muchas gracias. And we hope to see you soon in one of our Spanish classes or watching another one of our Spanish videos. Adios.